Microphone fire she embraces, stories reshape, no trace of stasis, echoes of heroes, waves they create, lessons in the struggle, heavy as fate, voices of inspiration elevate the state, wave of change ripples, never too late, leaders who inspire, candles in the dark, casting light and hope, igniting each spark, breaking chains, rearranging every arc. TammyRenee's voice, echoes leave a mark.
Come on in to the Wave of Change, where I am interviewing leaders who inspire action, sharing stories, giving tips, and dropping those gems. So come make some waves with us. Like, share, comment, and if you dare, drop a question. We'll answer it for you. If you are catching the replay, you know what to do. Hit hashtag replay. My name is TammyRenee, and I am here to help you make change and take action in your life. Today, we are talking about self-care is not selfish. Did y'all know that? Self-care is not selfish. You gotta be good to yourself before you can be good for anyone else. I want y'all to drop some waves in the comments. Let's welcome Dr. Myava Clark, co-founder of CASEN, Collaborative Advancement for Social Emotional Needs, serving mothers and their children with learning differences to have a stronger relationship. Welcome so much. How are you today?
I am doing well, thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your business?
Yes, as Tammy said, my name is Dr. Myava Clark, and I am the co-founder of CASEN, Collaborative Advancement for Social and Emotional Needs. And I help mothers of children with learning differences to build a stronger bond with their children and keep them safe online by providing the tools and resources necessary to build their children's self confidence so that mothers won't have to fear their kids being bullied by other kids.
Wow. That is such a that bullying the bullying is a very hard thing to kind of face, and kids are so scared to tell their parents about that. And so that is very important. So we thank you for providing that service for these mothers and these children, right? So when you talk about self-care, how does that relate to a mother who has a child with different learning differences?
Well, I was that mother. I
Oh,
was I was the mother who experienced it, and so to before I go there, I'll tell you a little bit about me.
yes.
I am the wife and the mother of two adult children. I have a son and a daughter. My son is the one that had learning differences, and my daughter was actually gifted in AP courses, which is advanced placement courses. So my children were at the opposite ends of the spectrum academically, but later she developed symptoms. She has chronic medical issues, and so I had to navigate the special education system, both with the IEP, which is the Individualized Education Program, as well as the 504 plan for medical. So I experienced a lot of just having to navigate life as a mother, period. And then when you have children with special needs, it just um, makes you that much more involved with care than
Mhm.
the typical mother. And I think all of us can understand that. But what has happened is I gave up myself because I was just into being a mom, just doing everything I could for my kids. And my husband, thank God I have a husband who was there and involved. But like when the children were small, he would say, "Oh, did you want to do anything or whatever? Or do you mind if I go out?" And I say, "Oh no, go ahead. I'm home with the kids." And even to back up a little further, I had a miscarriage with my first baby, so I think
Mhm.
that's where a lot of me spending a lot of time with my kids and being so involved, because I think subconsciously I was just so happy to be a mom and to have the baby come to fruition, that I just was fine spending my time with the child. And
Mhm.
then my children are less than 2 years apart, so it just ran, was just a constant. And so one day I looked up when my husband was going out, and I felt angry, and I said, "What?" And I had enough awareness to tap into myself to say, "What is going on?" I never cared when he would go out or whatever. It was fine, and I was fine staying home. And I'm not saying I didn't do anything for myself, but a lot of times I was fine just being with the kids.
Mhm.
And when that happened and I did a self assessment, I realized it really wasn't that I was upset that he was going out. It was I was upset that I didn't have anywhere to go.
Mhm. That's
And yeah,
deep.
yeah. So it was less about him but more about me. And that was the
Mhm.
beginning of my awareness that I needed to take care of myself. And
Mhm.
then my husband said to me one day, he said, "If you're no good to you, you won't be any good to anyone else."
Ah.
And I thought about that. And so that's where my journey began, where I started taking my power back
Mhm.
and taking care of me and my mental health. And what I'm grateful for is I can honestly say he didn't take it from me. I gave it up.
Right. Mhm.
And I think a lot of mothers may find themselves that way. And I think it's even more impacting when you have a child that requires more of your time or attention.
Mhm. As women, period, we tend to want to just take care, right? We want to nurture. We want to be the hero, right? We want to save the kids, the family, whatever. And like you said, we tend to put ourselves on the back burner. And when your husband brought that up to you, I'm glad that was an awakening or an awareness for you, because we don't see it. Sometimes we see that as our strength, putting ourselves on the back burner, right? And we're proud because we're doing this for everyone else, but we're not doing anything for ourselves. So tell me, when you started realizing to take care of yourself and start doing for yourself, I want to know, how did that feel, changing the way you did with yourself?
Well, it was a process because one of the things I did for myself is I started seeing a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And so somebody might say, "Why are you seeing a therapist? What's wrong?" or or "What's wrong with you? Why do you need to see a therapist?" And I would spin it to them and say, "I'm seeing a therapist because I don't want anything to be wrong."
Mm-hmm.
So it was really to learn how to, that was the, I would say, a big piece in me learning how to find myself again. Because one of the things my therapist asked me one time, she said, "Myava, can you, I want you," she gave me an assignment and she said, "I want you to write a list of 50 things that you like."
Mm-hmm.
And I cried because I couldn't think of one thing. I was so out of touch with myself, I forgot what I liked.
Wow. That is so relatable.
Hmm.
So relatable. I've been there too. I couldn't find what I like. I didn't even know how to dream.
Hmm.
So that is, if take our advice, if you're looking for things that you attract to you, start writing them down. And you may be stuck at first, but sticking with it And every last one, I bet the list started to grow, didn't it?
It did. Well, what was powerful for me is that list didn't have to be things I needed to buy, or it didn't have to include things that were very expensive. I'll tell you one thing that made me smile. It was two things in particular. One, I remember when I was a child, I loved hot chocolate because hot chocolate used to make me feel warm and fuzzy.
Uh-huh.
So when I remembered that, I went to BJ's and I bought a case of hot chocolate.
Oh, wow.
And I brought it back to the house. So anytime I felt like a little sad or I just needed something, I would get a cup of hot chocolate.
Oh, wow.
So,
And that
some
helped you.
it did. Like some people might get a glass of wine or something like that. I remember because it took me to my childhood and it was an experience that I used to really enjoy. So I started doing it in my adulthood and I have hot chocolate now. And I may not even drink it for a month or two or so at a time, but it's there for me if I feel like I need it.
Wow, just finding that something.
Yeah.
And yours is from childhood. I'm assuming it doesn't have to be from childhood.
No, because another thing that I remembered liking, I love scented candles. So when I remembered that, I went to Bath and Body Works. I bought a few, and so when I would get in the shower in the morning, I would light my candle
Mm-hmm.
to set my day. So these are little things that didn't cost a lot of money, but it brought me peace.
Mm-hmm.
It helped me to start my day.
Yeah, I just had an aha moment with what you just said. So buying the candle, yes, anybody can buy a candle, right?
Hmm.
But when you buy that candle and you know you're just buying it for you because you want it seems like it brings so much more meaning to that candle. And lighting it is actually a action that you're taking towards your self-care because you have the connection with the candle.
Absolutely.
Wow, I just had that epiphany because like we buy candles all the time, but no one really stops to say, why does this candle mean something to me?
And it's very intentional for me. And this has been, I would say, this is close to 20 years now that I started with the candle, and if it's close to maybe 15, 20 years. So when I do it, sometimes I do it with the intention of calming myself and feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's an informant. Other times it's just because I want to.
Right. Wow. I love that. So is that something, I don't know how old your children are, but is that something you do now with,
Yeah,
go
my
ahead.
children are 25 and 27.
Okay, okay. So you did that during the time with your children to help give you some self-care,
Yes.
and that was a self-care for you. So
Yes.
what other ways would you recommend or things that you've done that self-care that typically people think self-care is going to the spa or getting
Right.
your hair done. That's an out care to me.
I'll tell you a big one. This was really, really big for my mental health. Um, if you have children and on any given day, your children are doing a certain behavior and it doesn't bother you, and the third day or fourth day, it bothers you, realize it's not your kids, it's you. It's
Mhm.
your mindset, it's your mental, it's your emotions, it's you. It's not the kids, it's not the act, it's you, it's your mental state. So when I found that happening, I would say to my kids, Mommy needs a timeout. And I said, it's not you, it's me. And I would remove myself for about 10 minutes or so, maybe lay across my bed, do whatever just to reset. And then when I came back, I was a whole nother person because I took that time out for me to regroup and reset for me. And that's why I say Self-care is not selfish. And that's why I say that if you take care of yourself, you can strengthen your bond with those around you, your spouse, your children, and all of your relationships. Because when you show up as a whole person, they're getting from your overflow. When you are worn out and you're taxed and you're running on fumes, then or you're running there empty, then they're only getting the fumes, and that's when they get the quick tongue or the exasperation or the frustration, and you show up as a version of you that you're not proud of because you're tired or
Right.
because you're feeling burnout.
I love that example you gave when you said, and it's really something people could really, that's a tangible result, is when you said that if your child is acting, doing something that does not bother you on a regular day, on that third day, if it's bothering you, it's you. It's not the child because the child's been doing it already. Oh my God. That is powerful. Those just that simple thing is so powerful.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so when what my recommendation is when you find yourself in that state, you may have to just close your eyes and tap into your inner self, and you may have to be there for a couple seconds and say, what do I need right now?
Mm-hmm.
What do I need in this moment? And believe it or not, moment to moment can look different. So
Mm-hmm.
one moment it might be I need to take a walk. Another moment it might be I need to take a bath or a shower. And then another time it might be I need to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So it may not look the same. And I'll give you an example of something that happened like a couple weeks ago with me. I was trying to work, and I was working from home, and I just could not focus. I don't even remember what was bothering me or was on my mind, but my attention was short and I needed to get stuff done. And in real time, I said, okay, what do I need? And just what I just told you, I said, what do I need right now? What do I need right now? And guess what I needed?
What? Tell us.
I needed a hug from my husband.
Oh wow. How did you come up with that? How did you
That was the
know?
that was because I tapped into my inner self that strongly, and I said, what do I need right now that's going to move my needle? And believe it or not, that was the first time I ever identified in that kind of space that it was him that I needed. And so he was upstairs. I went upstairs and I asked him for a hug. And he said, sure. He hugged me. And anyone that knows my husband, he's this fixer. I hate it too. I absolutely hate it sometimes. I'm like, I don't need you to fix me. I'm okay. I just need you to be there. And we'll be married 29 years in April. So,
Congratulations.
thank you. So he probably just started understanding this last year.
Wow.
Seriously, like it's been that long. So in this moment, he just held me. And
Yeah.
then I guess maybe like a 10-minute hug. Really, it was like a
Wow.
long. Until I felt my body come down and I felt the energy restoring is when I was able to let go. And he was there. And you know what he said?
What?
Did you notice I didn't even say anything? He said, "Did you know?"
There's hope out there. There's
Yeah,
hope
yeah.
out
So he said,
there.
and then we laughed, but that's all I needed from him. Do you know I came downstairs and did 5 hours worth of work after that?
Wow.
And I was in the zone. I was zoning. And I was where prior to that, I just could not get past this one activity because my mind just kept going in circles. I kept reading the same thing. And that's when I said, okay, what do I need? Obviously, I need something. And what is it? And that's when, and then I came down and I did 5 hours. I was so productive. But had I not taken that moment, had I not taken that time to identify what it was that I needed, I may not have gotten anything done that day because I
Mhm.
wasn't in the right frame of mind.
Wow, I love that story. A 10-minute hug that changed your life.
It
A
really did.
10-minute hug that put you back on track. Oh
Yeah.
my God, I love that because you not only recognized what you need, you went and got what you need so that you can accomplish the things you needed to accomplish.
Right.
Oh my God, I love that. So, when you have a child, so with your children when they were younger, how did you manage to be able to help your children without getting frustrated or not understanding what they needed, and also take care of yourself, but so fixing the needs of the children and yourself, how did you manage that during that time?
I didn't always get it right. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm saying. Like I wound up giving up a lot of myself. Now I'm fortunate. Like when I talk about I am a blessed woman. I
Amen to that.
am a blessed woman.
Mm-hmm.
I am a God fearing woman. I am a wife as well as a mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having all of that, it still got hard.
Mm-hmm.
Life can be hard, life can be challenging for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful that I have the support. I have family support. I have both my biological parents still, my brothers,
Wow.
my family. I said
Mm-hmm.
I'm a blessed woman and I
Mm-hmm.
understand it. And life was still challenging.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So knowing that we still have to use wisdom.
So, what advice would you give mothers who have children with learning differences that need to find that self care for themselves? Or,
Right.
how can they help themselves so they can help their children?
Right. What I would say is one thing I learned later in life that I wish mothers would get sooner is the expression at what cost to my peace.
At what cost to my peace?
I wish that I had understood that in my younger years. Because there are a lot of times I went around trying to please everyone and do everything. Now, one thing, I am the baby out of five and the only girl.
Oh, wow.
I grew up, my father's a Marine from Georgia. So the discipline, the structure, everything was there. I could do, my father had me changing oil when I was a teenager in a
Wow.
car. I could change a tire. I could do all these things. So taking those experiences, being raised to be an independent Black woman, um, and you bring that into a marriage, you bring that into motherhood, you tend to take on things that no one asked you to take on.
Mm-hmm.
But because you know you can do it, you do it. And it's okay while it's okay.
Right.
But when it starts to get too much, now people expect that of you because you took it on and you don't want it anymore. Now it's hard not to do it because everyone expects it of you.
Mm-hmm.
And now that you think, okay, I don't want it, I don't want this, it's too much. People were coming at you like, but you've always done it. I didn't change. Why are you, what's the problem? I didn't change. You know what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
the first thing I would say is evaluate the cost of being superwoman.
Mm-hmm.
No one asked you to be superwoman. So don't put the cape on yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Be think about, and this is to young women, when you first get married, when you sign up to do things and you're negotiating what everybody's responsibilities are, whatever. Think about where you might be at the age of 50 or 60 or 70. Do you think you're still going to want to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And if you think that's going to be too much, maybe you should negotiate roles differently sooner so they don't become patterns of habits that you have to undo later.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you're gung-ho now don't mean it's the right thing to do. And then when I say at what cost to your peace, when people ask you things, and it's easy for me to do now that everybody's older, so you may not be able to do this the same way when your children are smaller, but you can probably to a different degree. And that is when, like now, if they say, Mom, can you do thus and so? It's easy for me to stop and think, okay, what was I getting ready to do? Will this impact what I was getting ready to do for me? How will it impact it? And if the cost is too much to what I wanted to do, I say no, not right now, or maybe tomorrow, or whatever. Because if it's going to affect my peace of mind or what I needed to do to take care of me, and it's something that could have waited, then I at one point would never have done that. I would always put everybody before me and then find myself too tired to do what I needed to do for me and not go to bed with my stuff undone.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to sound like I never had anything going on for myself because that's not true. It's just that more often than not, I sacrificed myself. But I did occasionally go out. I did go get my nails done, get my hair done and stuff. But sometimes even that, I'd rush home and be back.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I do those things and then come back. But and I had a good life. I don't want to complain or make it come across like I didn't. I did, but I understand that I could have had a better one had I taken care of myself sooner.
Mm-hmm. And you dropped a real good gem in there. Actually, and when you said, think about when you're 50 or you're 60, are you doing the same thing? And that's where, I'm 55 almost. So that's not something I thought about when I was 30 or 40. If
Mhm.
I would have thought about it then, I probably would be farther along in life, but that's not what I thought about, and I just kept doing the people pleasing, the sacrificing me because you are more important, right?
Right,
I
right.
can take care of myself, but we're
Mhm.
not taking care of ourselves.
Right.
Wow, I love that, Jim. I hope you guys picked up on that. Do some reflecting and really think about where you want to be at 50, because we're all going to get 50, and guess what, 50 is the new young. Hey. So,
Well,
so when you're our age,
I
or if
tell
you,
you,
huh?
I tell you something. I absolutely love 50.
Yes, yes, me
Hands
too.
down, 50. It was something to me magical because 50 bit, it's okay. You're entitled. I don't have to convince you that I'm a nice person. I don't have to convince you that I'm just, you have to like me.
Right.
It's okay. You are
Mhm.
entitled to your opinion, and it's okay.
Right.
And I'm not going to convince you.
Right.
And that's what 50 did for me. Gave
Mhm.
me the freedom to allow people to be who they are.
Mhm.
And I am at a place now that I don't have to hold people prisoners in my mind with expectations.
There you go. Oh, I love it.
Yeah,
Yes.
they free.
They free. Yep. No
They free.
expectations from me, because guess what? Your life and my life is my life, and I know where I'm going.
Yeah. So
Yes, dropping those expectations is a form of self-care.
100%.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
and that was something even like I share with mothers and parents, like, drop the drop unrealistic expectations for your kids. And what I mean by that, we all want our kids to do well and to dream. And like, even my children, like, I still expect them to be productive and be their best, right? But I've learned that no one's perfect. There was only one perfect person, that was Jesus, right? And we're not him. And perfection is a lie. What I found out from Revelation was perfection is a form of pride, and pride comes from the enemy. And the reason why we get stuck in perfection, perfection is paralyzing. Because if you think you need to be perfect for something, you might not get started or you might not move. Right? So it's a form of keeping us stuck, because living the lie of perfection. So I've come to realize it's not about perfection, it's about progressing. As long as we're progressing. But I will tell you, I don't need to be perfect, but I do need to be excellent. And if you ask me what's the difference between
Yes,
perfection and
please let
excellence.
me ask you, what is the difference between perfectionist and excellence?
Perfection means you have to do everything right. And the odds are we're never going to get everything right. Right? Excellence to me is being the best version of you at any given time in any situation. So I strive for that. I strive to be my best in any situation at any given moment.
Yeah, I love that, because if you think about perfectionists, who is it perfect for? Right? Who are you making it perfect for?
And that's why I say it's a lie.
Yeah.
And it's a form of pride, right? So I go back to the children with that, and I say that I've learned that when you have these expectations of the perfect kid or what you think they should be doing, it's setting both of you up for heartache, because they're trying to live up to your expectation and trying to please you, and they're missing out. And then you're becoming frustrated because they're not doing what you want them to do. So I say to you, learn realistic expectations of where your children are at that moment. It doesn't mean you can't keep elevating them, but meet them where they are in that moment and just keep encouraging them instead of expecting them to be. Maybe you even have two children and you have one here like I did. My daughter was in honors and AP classes. My son, he was all over with school. Some classes he had regular ed. Some classes he was pulled out in the resource room. Some classes he had more of a special education. Like, so, but I had to meet him where he was. And I told them, don't give him more than he needs and don't give him less than he needs. That's why it was all over the place, because certain things he did really well and other things he needed more attention with.
And with us pushing our kids or having those expectations that they'll behave or act in the way that we expect them to do, doesn't that kind of make the child kind of shut down or rebel against you? And if they're shutting down, then you have that lack of communication with them, right?
Absolutely. Another thing, I'm glad you bring up the communication piece, because having open trust or building trust and having that trust builds the opportunity for open communication, which can then strengthen that bond. So that's another piece with strengthening your bond with your child, is being able to communicate. And it starts when they're young. If you want to have your children talk to you when they become teenagers or young adults, you have to start when they're toddlers.
Mm-hmm.
And as they're coming up, you have to make it comfortable for them to be able to engage in conversation with you. And when they tell you something that you may not want to hear, you can't, don't tell me that, don't tell me that, or don't yell at them for saying it, because that's going to cut the communication off. So instead, you brace yourself and you let them say it. And what I used to tell my children was, as long as you come to me with respect, you can say anything to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I will always listen to you and hear you out, and I'll give you my honest opinion. And I did.
Yeah.
And so even if it was uncomfortable, I'd ball my toes up or something, but I wouldn't react or I wouldn't respond, because I didn't want them to lose that trust with me and go to their friends or go to their friend's parent. I wanted them to always feel comfortable coming to me.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you believe there's a such thing as too much communication with your kids, or too open, where you're now building not a parent child relationship, but a lot of these young women, they want to have a friendship relationship
That's
with
the, but
their
see,
kids?
that's the difference.
That's what I
That's the
want to ask.
difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that we should always have boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
And I never allowed my kids to be so comfortable. Girl, please,
Well, that's why I
like,
want you to put it out there,
yeah,
because I
no,
think that needs to be heard.
yeah, no, because that's a difference, because they cross the lines of respect that way, and boundaries. I've always had remember I said, come to me with respect. You can say
Mm-hmm.
anything, but there are always boundaries in place, because I'm not that mom. I don't want to be the cool mom that you can drink with and that you could party with and that you could. I don't want to be her.
Because
That's
those,
not
yeah,
that's
and
not
I
what I
do
want to.
believe when you get into that kind of relationship, you're not having the authentic conversations. You're having fake conversations, or just what they want to tell you conversations,
Yeah,
right? Would you agree?
perhaps, probably, or even even if you are having the conversations, to your point, it's may not be the in depth,
Mm-hmm.
because you're just a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, and somebody might say it's outliers and exceptions too, but I think you're probably more on point than not with those type of relationships. So maybe some of them could still be a little more healthy than others, but you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm with you right there. Don't come to me like your friend, because I'm your mama.
yeah,
I'm with
mhm.
you right there. But I know in this world now, a lot of women want to have a friendship with their child
Well,
versus that respect of a mother and a child.
but then you have to say why.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's something underlying, and that's just like when your child is acting out. Um, if a child is misbehaving, a lot of times people want to label that child as bad, or oh, they're trouble.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, the emotion that you're seeing displayed is usually covering something underlying.
Mm-hmm.
And as parents, we really should dig to see what's causing that. Where's that stemming from? Why are they behaving that way? And when you get to the root cause, that's when healing really takes place and you really get moving. Can I share something with
You
you?
can share with me.
I had in 2022,
Mm-hmm.
I had two surgeries, 6 weeks apart. Okay. In December 21, my cousin was the caregiver for his mom,
Mm-hmm.
and we found out he passed away. His mom um, had dementia, so I wound up assuming responsibility for her because my mom was in her 80s, right? I had a week after that happened, I had a surgery. 6 weeks later, I had a second surgery. I had to take care of my aunt, and then she wound up passing. So that was a very traumatic time for me, emotionally, physically, and mentally. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I navigated that space, everything, you know. Well, this past week, my cousin, who lived in that house and was sick at that time as well, she wound up going to the hospital, and I was so like starting to get in such a fog. And I tapped into myself and I said, what do I need right now? What's going on? And I prayed and I said, God, what is going on with me? Why am I feeling what I'm feeling? And I realized that her going into the hospital was a trigger for me for the trauma that I experienced in 22.
Wow.
So once that was revealed to me and I understood that, I'm okay.
Wow.
So when I say to you, it's important to dig into yourself to see what is it that I need in this moment? What is causing these feelings or emotions? You dig it from the root, and then true healing can be transpired. So when you talk about our children acting out, I shared my story because if it's something underlying, and you say, why are they acting out instead of punishing them for the act itself? Figure out why. What's the root cause? Where's that hurt coming from? Where's that shame or embarrassment or frustration? Where is it coming from? And deal with that, and then you can help them heal.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And you use the word, my favorite word when you want to know an answer is what is wrong with me right now? What can I do about it? What? I love it because that is one of my favorite action words to get you some action and help you to get clear on things. So I'm excited that you use those words and those were your examples. So I have one more question for you. If give me an idea of who would come to CASEN. CASEN, is it CASEN, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What is the ideal person who would come there and why do they come there and how do you help them?
Okay. So CASEN has it's different parts of CASEN. We do outreach. We go into the community, schools, churches, camps, wherever we're invited. My son, it was actually his idea.
Oh.
Because my husband asked him, what do you wish you had that you didn't have in school to help kids today? And when he was in college, he was like, I wish that that could teach them how to be safe on social media. And he asked me to help him build this app. And so that's what we do for focusing on kids with learning differences, 9 to 13. So if it's a typically developing kid, they could be younger than 9, but
Mm-hmm.
it's maturity wise. And we teach them how to be safe online. We teach them bullying identification,
Wow.
how to identify um, if you're being bullied or if you're witnessing bullying or if you're in fact the bully. Sometimes kids are bullies and don't even realize it.
Mm-hmm.
And we work with the parents and equip them with the tools and resources um, to protect their kids with internet safety. And that's a big um, platform that we do with the kids, teaching them how to be safe. And now we have like an advocacy group for the parents where we provide resources and tools, group sessions with people coming in and just helping community from mother. I focus on mothers, but dads are welcome
Uh-huh.
because I never, ever want anyone to feel alone.
Mm-hmm.
There were times when I felt very lonely, and I had a husband, and I had family support, and I had God, and still felt lonely, felt
Right.
alone. And I don't want women to feel that way. I want them to always feel supported, know that someone's been there before them. And then in this group is other mothers like me that have navigated this space that are here to pull you along. And then there are women parallel to you going through life at the same time.
Well, I am very touched that you have a program like that. I actually lost a nephew from him being bullied in school, and he unalived himself. So
Oh.
that is, that really touched my heart. And then when I was younger, actually, I don't know why I did this. I'm an introvert, but I would protect, those who got bullied. And I was like the big old protector of them. But that is so needed, especially with social media. That is such a hard platform to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And what parents don't often know, there are a plethora of resources available to them. They just don't know where to find them. So what I've done, and it's even on my website, I have a free download on my website where they can go on there and I have a list of tools and resources with descriptions to keep kids safe. And they
Mhm.
can go and research them, because the problem is they don't even know where to go to
Right.
get this stuff. And it's a lot of stuff out there for us, but you don't know where to go.
Well, I want you to tell us right now on the video where they can go to get that information.
Yes, they can go to CASENLLC.com. And so that's www.casenllc.com. And they can go to library resources, and there are a list of things that are free downloads. But for everyone listening today, I would love to offer them my free ebook, 3 Steps to Strengthen Your Bond with Your Child. And they can go to bondwithyourchild.Dr. Myava Clark, and I'm sure you can put it in the notes for them.
Uh-huh.
But bondwithyourchild.drmyavaclark.com.
All right, y'all hear that? Make sure you look below and get that download if you're looking for those resources to help with your children and yourself. And you're going to get some self-care and self-love with that. Yes. All right, Myava, please leave us with any last words you like to share before we leave today.
I will recap and say self-care is not selfish, it's necessary. The more you pour into you, the more you have to offer someone else. And that's why it's not selfish. You're actually loving them better when you show up better. And the only way to show up better for them is to show up better for you. Remember, some simple ways to do self-care is through your nutrition. You eat right, you get physical activity, exercise, and you get enough sleep. Those are 3 simple things that don't cost you a lot of money, that can start you on that journey. Write your list of 50 things. They don't have to be expensive. 3 of mine off the top, I told you: candles, hot chocolate, and I remembered I like seafood. So those were 3
Ooh.
little things that didn't have to be a lot.
I love those tips. Make sure you write those down and make your list for your self-care. I want to thank Myava for coming on with me today, sharing her story, sharing her voice, and thank you for tuning in. I'll talk with you guys later. See you later. Bye.
From boardrooms to streets, revolutions begun. Leaders out here shining brighter than sun. The struggles, the triumphs.